I'm sorry, Andrew Weissman, but if I recall correctly, in 2018, you were one of the people who helped write the Mueller report, and you all botched the hell out of that.
And never in my wildest dreams would I have thought we would be here. I thought we were better as a country.
Oh, yeah.
Like all these sites that have been around for creating videos and all that, like text stock videos, they're done.
But that's why Canva was one of the first to get into doing AI.
Hey, what is up, everybody? It's Dr. Vibe here, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe Show, the home of Epic Conversations, and I'm the host of Epic Conversations, 2018 Innovation Award winner given out by the Canadian Ethnic Media Association, and 2020 Best Podcast News Award winner given out by the Canadian Ethnic Media Association. Also, I co-host and co-produce the only online show in the world for dads and fathers that's sponsored by Dove Men Plus Care. And being part of that team since 2020, I've reached out, no, not me, the team. I'm not the team. I'm part of the team. Reached out directly and indirectly to over 400,000 dads, fathers, and male caregivers around the world. As always, I'd like to say you're blessed, highly favored, a magnet for miracles, and a solution for someone's problem. And we are broadcasting live September 21st. Primetime Saturday with Aisha and LaLa. And LaLa's here, Aisha isn't, but we're going to tell you why Aisha isn't here a little bit later. But we are joined, and LaLa's here, and just flying in from parts unknown, there's a lady named Dr. Tachi that's here.
Hi, Dr. Tachi.
Hello. How are you?
Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
Good. Like Dr. Tachi just flew in like Superman, just like Supergirl, or lady just like dropped in.
Let me tell you, my computer was being slow and would not allow me to come on. I'm like, I have to go on now. What's happening? So just in the nick of time, it let me in.
Well, there you go. So what's been going on in both of yours worlds?
Well, I had a nice adventure with a bite of some sort, and my whole face swole up, and I had to laugh because I swear I looked like the female Quasimodo. I could have been flying around the cathedrals of Notre Dame. My face was so big, and I still have a little bit of the problem here, but as you can see, I'm trying to hide it with lighting. But I don't know what got me, but it thought I was sweet, and it thought I was delicious, and it had all sorts of bites. So
Sweet and delicious.
I've never heard
a bite described in that way before.
Are you sure it wasn't an allergic reaction?
I'm pretty sure it was, because I'm real sensitive. I even have to be careful with like earrings and stuff like that. So I'm sure it was. But when you want to talk about itching, I was itching everywhere. So it was just like, it finally came down today. I was a little worried because I thought, oh my God, because I didn't do any other shows this week after I got bit. So I thought to myself, oh God, I hope I can come on tonight.
Wow.
It was bad.
Wow. Well, we're glad that you're here.
Yeah.
Me too.
We're glad you're Dr. Tachi. What's going on in your boring world?
Boring. If this is boring, I'd hate to see exciting. Just trying to take it a little bit easy this weekend, because every day is it feels like with the network that I go to work every night and I work the night shift. That's what it feels like.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy. LaLa, I thought about you this week in regards to, was listening to a commentary about how much more expensive it is in the last 4 or 5 years to own a home in America.
Yes.
And
I actually did some research on that.
And the biggest spike has been in home insurance rates.
Yes. And I can speak from direct experience, especially dealing with two states that are struggling the most, which is California and Florida. What people don't understand, there are 4 parts to owning a home. There's principal, insurance, taxes, and interest. So the things that are variable are insurance and taxes. Now, your PI typically stays the same if you don't have an arm where it fluctuates. But
what's PI?
PITI is principal, interest, taxes and insurance.
Thank you.
And so the last two parts of that are variable. So when you have states like California and Florida who get a lot of wildfires as well as hurricanes and things of that nature, where insurance is backing out of those states, California and Florida literally only have like one or two insurances that will stay. No, I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. And you're stuck with whatever rate that they give you. Your taxes and your insurance, a lot of times in those states, are higher than your principal and your interest. So it's becoming so expensive in places like that where you just can't afford it. Because remember, years ago, people used to say, I'm moving to Florida to retire, right? Because it wasn't that expensive. But now you're pretty much so pressed, you have no choice but to use the emergency insurance. And it's pricing people out.
Okay. One other conversation point before we get into the main topic tonight. So interest rates are going down, allegedly.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking, yeah, that's a good thing, but it also could be a not so good thing for the average buyer, because if rates come down, it becomes more affordable for people. But that means there's more competition for homes, which will drive up the price. Am I wrong?
And that's what you get. That's what you understand. The Feds dropped the point, half a point.
Yes,
and they haven't done that in a very, very long time. But what that does is it drives up the demand. And when there's so much demand now, the prices will rise as well. So people don't understand that that's not always a good thing, and that it's always a good time to buy. To be very honest, it is. Whenever you're ready, whatever it is, you can buy and start putting that money back toward you instead of giving that to a landlord. Then 6 months down the road, a year down the road, you can always refinance your loan and get a lower rate. So people make the huge mistake of thinking they have to wait till a certain rate is around. That's just not true.
May I ask a question?
And then it's not the classroom professor, Tachi. You can.
Well, I'm putting up my hand so you can see that I'm wanting to do something. So piggybacking, because LaLa is the real estate professional. I am not a real estate professional at all, but I happen to work with Gary, who is a realtor, and I've worked with him for 7 years. And so I've had to do an awful lot of research to understand, so that when I'm posting things, it's coming from a point of making sense. And the big thing here also, as I'm sure you know, LaLa, in Florida, is not only is it, very expensive to get into a home in Florida, if you have a condo, you're in trouble because of the, I don't want to say it like that. Right, because of the Surfside condo collapse at Champlain Towers. Now they have the Surfside laws, and that's obviously, so now buildings in Florida condo buildings have to be inspected more often. It used to be every 40 years. Now they've dropped it to 30, and I think 25 in some cases. And on top of that, if you're already in one, not only is insurance going up in general because of just because of natural disasters, etc. And so your insurance rates may have quadrupled or whatever, but a lot of these condo buildings, the condo boards were not keeping up with the maintenance of things. And so what's happening is everybody is getting an assessment. And in some buildings in South Florida, it's like up to $100,000 on top of whatever condo fees. Now you're being assessed $100,000. Well, you may be retired. You can't afford that. So now you end up with a building full of people who cannot afford to live there. So what do? They abandon, they try to sell, but it's very difficult to sell because honestly, some people are shy about buying in a condo because of all of this, particularly older condos that were built before 2000. So
yes. And then there are many cases. And then if you don't pay the assessment, they foreclose on you. Now they take a back seat to your mortgage, but that is a really terrible situation for people to be in, especially those who are moving down there to retire. And that is all of their life savings. There is a case that just came out where a gentleman's condo assessed each resident $200 and something thousand, and that's over what he has for his life savings right now. And so he is being forced to move, but move where? if he can't sell. So yes, there are a lot of contradictory things going on in the market. But I have always said, and I'm actually getting ready to do another free class, an educated buyer is a smart buyer, and a smart buyer is an educated buyer. And this goes for sellers as well, because if you don't understand what the buyers have to go through when you're the seller, you might have bought that thing 20 years ago and you don't really know what's going on in real estate. You need to educate yourself. And that's where I pride myself. I've been teaching classes since 2006.
Wow.
And these are things that we discuss in my class. I don't just come in and teach you to just be glossy, happy-go-lucky. I teach you about what you can face, what could happen, and what happens if you don't keep up, and things of that nature. So, yeah, you're right. There's a lot of craziness going on and a lot of things that are out of your control as a homeowner.
Okay. All right.
I have another question really quickly.
Keep on going. Go ahead.
Do you think, LaLa, that interest rates will ever dip below 5% again?
Not anywhere soon. No, I do not. And what people get so hung up on is they don't remember our parents. And even not so long ago, even 15 years ago, people were 10, 15 years ago paying double digits.
Yes.
So, and our parents were paying like 23, 24%. So people are freaking out because now we, oh God, it's up to 8. You better be happy it's not 23. Because it could very well go in the double digits again. But I think because of elections, everything is based upon each other. It's the circle of life, okay? Everything is based upon everything. This is a political year. So of course, everybody's going to want to make people feel more comfortable to make our economy feel more stable and feel more comfortable to people, because you've got battles going on with that. So I don't doubt whatsoever in my whole heart of hearts that was a political move on dropping these rates.
That's why I will never refinance, because my rate is 3%. So I'm not refinancing.
My husband and I didn't either. And when we sold one of our properties, we came out on top. We never refinanced. There really was no reason for us to refinance when we had such a good rate. So this is what we talk about. Should you refinance? Should you not refinance? Because pulling money out of your home also hurts you a lot of the time with your equity. So, yeah.
All right. Well, follow LaLa and get more real estate insights, national real estate insights. So let's, what are we going to do first? Okay, let's do some house stuff. Join the Primetime Saturday with Aisha and LaLa Discord group. Please email me at dr.vibe@vibeshow.com. Primetime Saturday store. That's the link there. Here's where you can listen to Girlfriend Chat on Patreon, which includes Ms. Jill Jones. And also Dr. Tachi's Enterprise, IndieSoup Media.tv. What's been going on with IndieSoup Media.tv?
Oh, wow. Well, we are actually in replay season right now for some of the shows, and some shows we've still got an awful lot that are new and just keep running daily or weekly. And we are now at 18,700 the last time I checked subscribers on YouTube.
Wow. Well done. Thank
you.
Thank
done.
You.
You're part of that, so thank you.
Once in a while, I contribute. I throw in my hat once in a while in the morning. Subscribe to the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube and hit the notification button. Also follow Dr. Vibe. That's me. Just if you want to know who that is. The guy who's got the thing on the background there. Yeah. On Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. And also if you want to advertise your business, product, or service on the platform, please feel free to email me, dr.vibe@vibeshow.com. So let's get our first conversation piece up. The arrest of some guy named Diddy.
I wanted to attack this in a different way. Because we have been inundated with all these stories, all of these speculations about who's going to be named in the indictment. We know that they have been watching him for a long time. We know that his legal troubles has started a long time ago. There's always been rumors. But here is what I want us to remember. There were victims. Let that sink in. There were victims. There were people who were drugged. There were people who were trafficked. There were people who were blackmailed or felt guilty enough that they didn't want to come out and say anything. And we have to remember that all these jokes and all these memes and all these speculations that we have involve real people. And we tend to forget that there are people who are probably aching and have to suffer with the consequences of what happened with this. And now their experiences will be turned into butt of jokes. They will probably have to go through years of therapy. They're probably shaking in their boots right now, hoping and praying that their names will not be mentioned out in the public. Their whole life will change more than it has already changed with the experiences that they're going through. And the human side of me, we always like a good story, but this isn't a good story. There is no win-win with this. People were harmed and hurt. They were abused. And there's no joke about anyone being put in that situation. So I just wanted to bring this case up because I know everybody's heard everything about it. It's on the news all day long. Every time you open Facebook, every time you look at Instagram, every time you look at Twitter, everything is Diddy, Diddy, Diddy. But what about the people that he harmed? Can we at least acknowledge that they are really going through hell right now and show them some respect by not making this some huge joke? That's what I really wanted to talk about today. I don't want to talk about Diddy's case. We already know that it's going to be a nightmare and we're going to be learning a lot of things about it. Names will be dropped. But just because people take pictures with him or were in some kind of pictures of him and his parties doesn't mean that they were the ones that were going to the freak off. So you have a lot of speculations and throwing out names that people don't even really know. And that's not fair. And that's actually slander. So you need to be very careful about the words you say and consider the people involved as well. Now, Diddy gonna get what Diddy you gonna get. And we know that. But think about those who didn't want to be acknowledged in this situation at all.
100%. There are real people involved. I think sometimes, and this is not making an excuse, but I think sometimes for some people, not making light of it, but looking at it not from as serious of a standpoint is a way of transcending this for some. Because there's so much already going on in the news. And let's not be distracted by not just this, but Diddy himself, because it is an election season. We have a job to do. So let's not get distracted by this. But I think for some people, it is a way, humor is a way of transcending. Now, that's not for everybody. There are some people who just have to be heard on social media and they'll make up anything. But for some people, there's so much that is going on. We've heard so much of this type of thing and so many other things that is happening now that to constantly process this in a serious manner won't work for some people. So I think for some, this could be a way, regardless of if it's appropriate or not, is not for me to say, because I can't tell somebody how to transcend their sadness, how to transcend I can't say that. I know I feel it's not appropriate to make jokes about it because this is not funny in the least. I'm very happy that Howard University not only revoked the honorary degree that they gave him, but also dismantled the scholarship program that was in his name and is not using that money anymore. I don't know where that money is going, but they're not using that money anymore to fund scholarships. So here's another thing, that your money does not solve everything. Mm-hmm. Your bad behavior, your despicable behavior has now affected the ability for some people to get funding to go to college. Mm-hmm. So it's deeper than, it's deep enough the way it is. But then you add all the other layers of all the other people that are adjacent to it who are affected as well. I'll also say this, that media needs to be responsible with these types of things. the moment any of this type of stuff comes up, the vultures are out waiting to pounce. Do vultures pounce? No. They swoop in, okay? So the vultures are ready to swoop in. And here comes ID Network, Investigation Discovery, and they are in production now for a Diddy docuseries, which will debut next year. And is basically the rise and fall of P. Diddy. By the way, you know, nobody called him Diddy. We called him Puffy. Nobody called him Diddy.
Yeah.
That's what he deemed himself, whatever. So we as media, you need to be careful. It's the same thing. I talked about this on Mediascope this week, as well as Wendy Williams, and not to shift gears, but Wendy Williams and her guardian not being happy. They're taking legal action because of the docuseries that premiered in February. So, but it's the same type of thing, right? The moment something happens, everybody is ready to swoop in to tell the story first so that they can get the ratings and they can get the advertising. I'm like, it's way too soon. Although they may have already been in production for this before this happened. And I think that's the case, but it's just too convenient that now all of a sudden, wow, this has happened. It feels too soon to even talk about this. I wouldn't have even said anything about this publicly, like it was in Deadline Hollywood. It was in the Hollywood Reporter. It was all. I wouldn't have even said any of this, knowing that there are victims involved. If you're going to produce it and you put money into it, all right, fine. And it comes out next year, talk about it next year. But let this die down first. So as media, we have to stop being so money driven, especially when individuals and humans are involved, as LaLa said.
And, you know, there's also a lot of people who are looking for that social media money. You've got the amateurs, you've got the other people who want to put out the clickbait, and the clickbait is nothing but pure lies. I mean, the things that I absolutely read this week, I was like, what? Like, you know, because people are so hungry to hear anything, they'll just put anything up. And I was happy to see in a couple of cases where people underneath the threads were saying, this needs to be taken down. None of this is correct. And like saying, we're going to report this. Now some people are at least holding people accountable for what they're doing. And, you know, we also have to remember, Puff didn't do this by himself. Okay, there were accomplices that we need to really be concerned about, and what we need people need to be kind of quiet so that this trial can go the way that it needs to go. You know, you don't need to know everything right now. You need to let justice take its time, just like we don't need to know absolutely everything that our political people are doing when it comes to security of our country. Ain't it a secret for a reason? So some of these things we need to just be patient, lean back, and see how it comes out, because otherwise we're doing more damage than we are by putting out all of these things that are false that could be possibly picked up and then put in the courtroom. We need to be very careful about everything around our judicial system. Now, I'm very sensitive about the judicial system right now, so I take it with a grain of salt.
And if I could add to pick your or in tandem with what you're saying, Sean Combs is low-hanging fruit. He is not the ringmaster here. As powerful as some, and there was a level of power there, obviously, because he could do whatever he liked. I mean, in fact, there was something I saw, I think it was on Instagram, of him talking about he can do whatever he likes, right? And that wasn't necessarily in regard to this, but just the concept that you think you are untouchable is problematic. But even then, he's also loud and boisterous, and that's whoever is really in charge. That's what they like, because they'll take out the loud and boisterous ones first, and you are then untouchable. So when we look at this, he's the least of the ones that are in it. This is a larger ring, if you will. This is a larger operation, I'm sure. And Diddy had money, but he's not necessarily the one that is running the entire thing. So I think that's something we also have to remember, that he's the least of all of this.
All right. As you would think, there are a whole pile of comments. So I'm going to get through them right there. Is a pile. So the only way says, we got your butter vibe and panel. Thank you very much. Michelle says 1,000 bottles of baby oil on the wall.
Yeah.
Michelle says, yes, it does. How many? The victim blaming to Cassie is back. Minnie on Sam says, not there were victims. There are victims, and we need to become survivors so we can thrive again. Regina. Cassie had the guts to tell the truth. The only way says, I hear her. It kind of hurts my feelings, if I may. And he points at Diddy. He says, let me not be disrespectful. Regina says, I think it should be a closed court case so victims' names are not leaked. Also, Michelle says some of the info disclosed leads to the magnitude. Okay, frequency event promotions. Good to have you here. The only way says, Diddy full of old good. They got him. JJ Mars says the powers that be liquidated Epstein because he knew too much. Did he probably really nervous? I think he may be.
Well, the rumor is they're really considering about putting him on suicide watch because they did deny him bail more than once. He kept trying to go back to get bail, but they will not let him go.
Okay. Minion Cam says, vultures swarm. Regina says, JJ Mars 100%. Michelle, I can hear Biggie saying, Puff. The only way says, I respect this panel, Dr. Vibe. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mindy says, and vultures roost. Michelle says, Wendy Williams already talked about Puff. I can't remember if it was after Corinne dropped her book back in 2005. The only way says there are receipts about what the gal on the panel was speaking. And watch out when the sisters start speaking truth. Well, that's every Saturday. One of the things interesting now, and it's interesting. Unfortunately, if you're listening to this on replay, but if you're not watching it, I actually showed a clip of Diddy being arrested and how did TMZ get that clip?
How does TMZ get anything?
Yeah, no.
Let's start there.
Yeah, exactly. I worry about their sourcing a lot.
I do.
Because it just doesn't sit right with me.
No, that means if they're able to get things, first of all, usually if I hear about something, right? And if I hear about it and I only see the source as TMZ, I'll wait before to see agreement from other people because I never use TMZ as a primary source.
Right.
Their ways of getting information sometimes are sketchy. To me, they appear sketchy. So I don't know what they had to do. And then I don't know that it's going to come out and be truthful. Although a lot of the times it ends up being the case. But that means somebody somewhere that knows, and that's problematic for me. So I always wait to see the other outlets come out with before I report about it. So,
yes, agreed. But this also shows another case of the melanated community. If you look a number of years ago, Diddy was a big figure. Like I just saw a commercial today of all these celebrities appearing, promoting his white party. There was a time last election, he had this vote or die campaign.
Yeah.
This is just me. I don't say a lot on this conversation. We got to stop idolizing celebrities.
Well, and I don't know if you saw the story that I sent you, Dr. Vibe.
Which one?
I sent 2 stories to you. And the last one just happened.
Well, we'll get to that. We're going to talk about that.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure.
Yes, we're going to talk about that. Absolutely. We're going to talk about that one too.
Okay.
But this is crazy. Like, do either of you think people are going to get exposed and or fall because of this proceedings?
Yes, I do. I do. And I believe this list is going to be very long. And you have to remember something. Let's look at this situation, because there's two different things. There's too many dynamics going on. When Epstein was arrested and put away, those names and those documents were sealed quickly. And we still don't know who all is on those lists. We are just learning a few names.
Mm-hmm.
You watch how many names of prominent Black folk will be coming out on these lists, and quickly. There's a double standard going on here. And as Dr. Tachi said, he is low-hanging fruit. Who's to say they're not using him for a bigger person? But he is the fall person.
Mm-hmm.
So you mark my words, there are going to be some things that come out that wouldn't have happened if it was Epstein.
Absolutely. But I also think that we can't get caught up in that, because I think we got caught up in that whole thing when it came to Bill Cosby versus Roman Polanski and who's the other one? Weinstein.
Yes.
Weinstein.
Yes.
And what we end up doing sometimes is, well, if this person was Black, okay, that's well and good if we were talking about inequities in the justice system, which often we are. But in this case, like in the case of Cosby or whatever, we were talking about the fact of the amount of victims. And
Yes.
what we do sometimes is we jump to defense. And I understand why we do it, because as people of color, particularly Black people, we are so vilified by the justice system that we automatically come together to support what Black men anyway, right? We will automatically come together to support, to make sure. So I understand where it comes from and why we do it, but we can't lose sight of the fact that something was done that was wrong, and we can't give him a pass. And often we will, because I know there's already people arguing, well, these people could be lying. And there always are. I am tired of our shenanigans and our Negroidianness when it comes to these things. So I know there's already somebody arguing that he didn't do it, or this is the fact, or what. I already know that this is the case. So we have to be very careful, I think, when it comes to not only assigning blame, but assigning correct blame, and then the person being held accountable for it, and not conflicting that with inequities in the justice system, because we know that's a problem, but this person did something wrong. They need to be held accountable for it.
I agree.
All right. The comments keep on coming from the family. Michelle says, source, money, and blackmail.
Mm-hmm.
The only way says TMZ equals too much zoning in on what is not the reality at hand.
Yeah.
He also says so many moving parts. Minion Cam says it is the game of chess. The pawns go first.
Yes.
Minion Cam says even the case with Ron Jeremy, he had the buffer of COVID, then it vanished because of his mental capacity. And then the only way says, well, here in America, ... So yeah, this trial is going to be really interesting to see who's all, because I'm telling you, there's got to be some people a little bit nervous. Oh, JG Mars kicks in. Same activities played out in the Playboy Mansion for decades. Some girls even died there, but no names of party goers were even released.
That's true. Very much true.
And see, that again, that's a separate issue of inequities when it comes to covering these types of crimes in media, and also how the Justice Department and Justice Departments handle these types of things. Definite inequities there. I just don't want us to get caught up in if this was a Black person or if this was a white person, because something was done wrong here. I 100% agree there are inequities, but sometimes in the heat of it, we're like, well, they didn't say it with Epstein. We're not talking about Epstein. We're talking about this. And don't think that you can be protected because you're Black and they're not going to. In fact, this is the reason you're so stupid. Because you're Black, you should have not engaged in any of these things, because you know they're going to come at you doubly hard. So when you know the consequences, why do you keep putting your hand on the hot iron? I just don't know. That's why I don't give them a pass.
Agreed.
Sorry.
Okay. All right. The only way says we as, quote, black people, unquote, are not responsible for their behavior. And Miniam Khan says, yeah, at JJ Mars, because it's owned by white males. So that's why you hear nothing about the Playboy Mansion stuff. All right. Got a fiery start. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a little break to take a timeout, because this deserves a timeout. It deserves a timeout. So we're going to take a little bit of a break. And then when we come back, we're going to talk about something that rarely happens, especially during elections. Falsehoods. During Dr. Tachi. that was a screenshot moment. All right, so we'll be back if I don't fall off my chair in 30 seconds. Primetime Saturday with Aisha and LaLa. Join Aisha K. Staggers and LaLa Key as they cut through the chaos and make some sense of the nonsense in American news and politics.
But you still got to give him the respect that he has been doing this a long time.
Sharp insights, bold opinions, and a touch of humor. It's the show that keeps you informed and entertained.
Nobody's talking about that. Aisha, that's pretty powerful.
Don't miss Primetime Saturday with Aisha and LaLa. Tune in and stay ahead of the headlines. Well, it's Aisha and not Aisha, it's Dr. Tachi and LaLa. LaLa and Dr. Tachi tonight. Bum. And we are back on Primetime Saturday, broadcasting live September 21st. And I tell you, there's a lot of comments are still coming here. Michelle says, after R. Kelly was finally convicted, why have they continued? And the only way is a good break. So it was a good break, but now we come up to another non-relevant subject going on in the world. LaLa. How lies are being accepted during the current United States presidential campaign. Do talk.
Well, I've been in a lot of reflection, and I try not to get caught up so much in the hoopla and the cheerleading for any political party. However, everybody knows how I feel. I am an independent. And I will be voting for Harris. I typically in my whole life has always voted Democrat. But what I don't like about the way politics has turned, especially under this Trump person, trying to be nice.
Why?
I want to get the fact out that fear is always going to be the driving force behind this MAGA crew. It doesn't matter what he says. They're always going to believe the lie. He can say the sky is purple and they will believe it. You see the videos of people going out interviewing Trumpsters and they come out and say things. They ask them questions and then they go, oh, no. That was actually Trump who said that. Well, then they changed their story. But Trump's whole entire life has been a lie. You have been lied to about this man. And because people accept his lies and thinks he's some great businessman, they believe anything that comes out of his mouth. Now, just a few. And if I read a few, y'all will see just how ridiculous this is and how we have to really understand the mindset of people who follow this. You're never going to change their minds. They're always going to be the Kool-Aid drinkers. They're always going to be able to take the poison and be happy about it and make it seem like they're some kind of martyrs. So just recently, we know about the eating dogs and cats in Springfield, Ohio, which has put a whole section of Americans in danger. And that has been proven wrong. He has no ties to Project 2025 when there are absolutely proof and videos of people discussing their plans behind it with his name. And in fact, I absolutely love that our Congressman Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett called them out this week on the Hill and actually made them, forced them to say how many times Trump was referenced in this document, which was like over 200 times, but yet he knows nothing about Project 2025. And there's also a video of Trump actually just saying this week how this is a wonderful document and they've already laid out everything that he needs to do in his next presidency. He's admitting to it, yet turning around saying he knows nothing about it. Trump has claimed to have once been in a near, now this is ridiculous, y'all listen to it. I was in a near-death helicopter crash with former Senator Francisco Mayor Willie Brown, where Brown confided to me terrible things about his one-time protege Harris and what they thought would be their final moments alive on Earth. First of all, he wasn't in the airplane and no kind of helicopter. And Willie Brown came out and said, I ain't never been in no helicopter with Trump, and I've never, ever said these things. But see, he plants these seeds so that they grow in the stupidity and the mentality of his followers. This is dangerous in our country. Now, if you truly want to fact check things, you really should before you post anything at all. You can go back to the Diddy thing we're talking about. Before you open your mouth, know what you're going to say. You should always, always think to yourself, is this going to do good or is this going to do harm? Now, I know right now it seems like that goes against all of humanity, but at one time in our period of Americanism, it was the proper thing to do, to think before you open your mouth. As a matter of fact, people were shunned for saying things that they didn't know about. Now we have done a complete flip to accept things that are coming out of people's mouth and not fact checking them. So I actually gave Dr. Vibe a site, which is a Wikipedia, I believe, that lists absolute all of Trump's lies. And it actually has a warning at the top that says, you may want to break this down in sections because this document is way too long. I tried to read it today in preparation for today's broadcast. I had to stop. I had to literally stop because that's how many lies are there that have been fact checked. Yet this man is still, even though he's been indicted, still allowed to run for presidency in our country. I am sick of it. I am tired of the lies. I'm tired of the AI generated stuff that he's putting out. We knew that this was going to be a dangerous situation. Just this past week, he did an AI generated picture of Vice President Kamala Harris at a Diddy party. Tell me that he wasn't trying to do some damage there, and took it down immediately off of Truth Social. Of course, anything you put on the internet, my babies, is not going to die. Just because you deleted it don't mean somebody ain't already screenshotted it. So as Elon Musk, these are people that people look up to and are putting them on this pedestal when all they do is rain down lies and fear. And you need to check yourself and really check the fact, are you spreading lies? Are you believing lies? Are you at least going to try to research truth? This has bothered me more than anything this week. And one of the reasons is I had to get really nasty with a congressman this week. I literally wrote a congressman and said, you should have never promised somebody that you couldn't deliver on. And it was just a simple phone call to me about my sister's case. And he lied to me and said, I've been trying to reach you, Miss Key. I'm an international agent. I don't miss no phone calls. I am a realtor. If I miss a phone call, I miss business. You didn't call me, sir. And it took a nasty email for me to get a phone call back. Is this the way of our country? So you didn't have to lie to me. So that's what got me into this vein of, you know what, these lies have got to stop. But what do we do now that we are here? Because you cannot put it back in the toothpaste thing after you done squeezed it out. What do? Well, we call attention to it, and we do our best to make sure that people understand when lies are lies, we call them out. And I know I probably took way too long to discuss that.
No,
It bothered me. It bothered me really bad. And it still bothers me. Of course, we probably wouldn't have a show if we didn't have all this stuff going on. But I'd rather have truth.
But we'd have a show of good news.
Yes, good news. I like good news.
Dr. Tachi.
We don't have enough good news.
Dr. Tachi, I know you want to add in regards to fact checking because you are a member of the media.
I do. Let me first say that someone who tells lies is a liar. We need to start saying this. What's happening in this? I notice the discourse around it. He's told so many lies. Yes, someone who tells an inordinate amount of lies is then classified as a liar. It is a character trait at this point that he lies, thus he is a liar. So I think sometimes we still use the rules of good, decent discourse and instead of referring to the person as this is a character trait of the person, it is something that the person has done. No, this is a character trait. He is a liar. He continues to tell outright lies, not even half truths, not even fables. He continues to do this and he goes left unchecked. Now, but he's basically is like Sheree on the Real Housewives. He's like, well, who gonna check me, boo? Right. Nobody checks him because the people that follow him don't have enough critical thinking skills, don't have the critical thinking skills of two smashed flies to say, okay, this is not right. This is a lie, because they believe. And again, cults prey on people who don't use critical thinking, who are weak-minded and are looking for some sort of savior and are on a search for that. Put those three together and you have the perfect cult member. So the leader, Koresh, now is telling them any number of things and they'll believe. And they're not lies to them because he would never steer them wrong. So let's start calling a person what they are. Someone who tells lies like this is a liar. When you cannot believe anything that is coming out of their mouth, and you can't, that's classified as a liar. So that's one thing. Also, I agree 100% with LaLa. Be careful of what you're sharing on the internet. Do not share. And I have to people will send me all sorts of things and back channel me and DM me with things. I'm like, in my head, I'm like, did you check the resources to make sure this was correct before you sent it to me? Thank God I'm a type of person that checks things. And on top of that, I'm a journalist. So I would never share things but there are other people who will share it right away. But because it's on the internet, it has to be true. So you want to avoid particularly things like, and you may not think you're doing anything wrong, right? But particularly things like images that they've used AI for to show Kamala in places that she's not. Don't share those. They are not adding to the truth in the matter. So even though you're just trying to show this is what they show, no, there's always some dummy out there, some idiot who's going to take that and say, see? So don't share those types of things. It is as much as you would like to. If it's not helping the discourse, if it is not helping the story or the cause, don't share it. And then also, if you remember, it just came up. I think this happened a few months ago. No, it happened recently too, on the campaign trail, and Joy Reid showed this on her social, where he's now turned his sights off of Haitians onto Congo.
Yes.
Talking about that they're opening their prisons and now Congolese are coming. First of all, spell Congo. Second of all, show me where Congo is on a map and you cannot. Third of all, as an African, first of all, I was highly offended when it came to Haitians. I'm like, how very dare you?
Yeah.
Now you're talking about Africans too? If anything, if I don't know anything else, I know Africans. It is not that easy to come here. In fact, you all have made it that much more difficult for Africans to come here because we're not the type of people that you want here. So therefore, you've made it that much more difficult. Never mind that we come to this country and overtake and clean up and do well. Forget that. We are not those types of people you want. So it's very difficult. You think Congolese people could come here that easy with a civil war going on, all the exploitation that's happening? So now they're coming out of jails, and are they taking the Nina, the Pinta, and the Santa Maria? Is that what they're doing? Is that how they got here? Let's use a little bit of common sense. That is really literally impossible. There's no way. If we may have believed that maybe with Haitians, some people may have believed it because of the proximity of Haiti to the U.S., not with Congo. Impossible. But his followers don't know where Congo is and can't spell it either. They think it's halfway between Wakanda and what was the name of the country that was in Coming to America? Okay.
I forgot the name of that. Yeah, but yeah.
All right. So they think that's where it is. So I think this is a bigger problem. This is, you know what? I'm surprised that there hasn't been a him before now, because we have done an excellent job of dumbing down the educational system.
Yes.
Purposely, so that you don't know geography, so that you don't understand some things are impossible, so you don't go and search 3 sources before you share anything. We've done a good job of that. So we've purposely dumbed down the population. Not everybody, obviously, but we've purposely dumbed down the population, because a dumb population makes great sheep. They are sheeple at this point. So I'm not even just blaming whoever's in charge now. I'm blaming the fact that we purposely have de-educated ourselves. And so you end up with someone like a him. I'm just surprised it hasn't been before now.
All right. Before anyone goes in further, both of you are making the comment section fire. So the only way it says, I like LaLa. Well, I'm sure.
Thank you.
Know that. And he also says, when Dr. Tachi said, she said, why? To be kind. Regina says, fear and stupidity combined. How can you, quote, believe, unquote, that a born child can be, quote, aborted, unquote? Did they not pass the 10th grade biology class? The only way, says Letitia James, AG New York, made it stick. All right. Bragg, what's his first name, or someone to unalive about 45. Michelle says, to research his responses during the debate should be a huge indication that he is not to be trusted. Regina also says, remember when John McCain stopped a supporter at a rally for slandering Obama? He told them they were wrong, and Obama was a very good man.
Yeah.
Thank you. The Lonely Way says, I think you're saying thank you because I've shared the article in the comments section that LaLa's referring to. Michelle says, no accountability politics is where we are. The Only Way says, I respect everything that you do. Okay, I'll make you president of my fan club. All right. And he says, peace, family. And Regina gave the name of the country, Zamunda.
Zamunda, yes.
Zamunda. That
halfway
was
between Zamunda and Wakanda, exactly.
In Coming to America. So there we go. But yeah, it's the fact checking. And it seems that I heard today that Ms. Harris has approved another debate for is it October 10th on CNN, but 45 has said no at the president.
He's not coming.
No.
Listen, we don't have to worry about him coming to anything again. He didn't want to do the first one.
Nope.
There was pressure for him to do that first one, because had he not shown up, that would have been an indication of weakness. And that's one thing he can't stand. So he had to show up. He performed poorly.
He doesn't need to do another debate because he won, according to him.
Well, exactly. There's also the delusion. There's also the delusion of that he doesn't need to do another debate. But you haven't proven anything. You haven't talked about policy. You haven't done anything to show that. Listen, he's not, even if it's there and they schedule it, he's not coming. I'm very surprised he showed up for this one. Very surprised, and very surprised he didn't walk out early.
So Mignon Cam says 45 cannot function a debate and just learned my mother supports him, so pray for me.
Oh, wow.
But if there's another debate, you know what that means? Another watch party. Yes.
Yeah.
There will definitely be another watch party, but I don't think my man gonna show up. Like I said, he's still trying to wash off that handshake.
He's not.
Okay. Well, fact checking. Well, let's move on to our next conversation piece.
Mm-hmm.
Georgia pro-life abortion ban literally killed a woman, and she won't be the last.
No, she will not. But this is the first one to go on record since Roe versus Wade has been turned around. And she is a part of our Black community. Her name is Amber Nicole Thurman. And I want to say her name. She was a little bit past the 6 weeks. This was in Georgia. And she tried to get an appointment, but because of the Roe versus Wade ban, the clinics were so crowded that her appointment went over time. So they did give her the abortion pill. And she did take that. However, not all of the particles were expelled. And I'm trying to put it in a polite way, and because that's pretty hard to take. And so she needed a DNC. And that means that's when they go in and they scrape the uterus to clear anything out. They weren't allowed to do that. She ended up dying because of sepsis. And this is directly related to Roe versus Wade being overturned and all this ridiculousness that these far right Christians are pushing on this agenda. Listen, get out of people's beds, get out of people's bodies. If you serve a God, then you're the one who's going to answer for yourself in front of God. You let that other person deal what they need to deal with in front of God. That's none of your business. That's not none of your business in between that person and God. This young lady was a mother of a 6-year-old son who now has lost his mother due to this. And this will not be the last of this. This is not going to be the last. There's probably going to be so many, we can't even cover them all. But this one here is precedented in the fact that this was the first one that is actually documented to be the first one that has died due to the reversal of Roe versus Wade.
This is very upsetting. It was upsetting when it was overturned, right? Because again, as LaLa said, this is not anybody's business. Why are you concerned with what's happening in my house? That doesn't affect your salvation. If it's wrong, it will affect mine, not your problem. So and again, let's not call them Christians because that's not Christ-like. They're not Christians. I don't know what God they serve or who they purport to follow. It's not God.
I agree with that statement more than anything.
Not my God. My God doesn't believe in that type of thing. And it's not your business. If somebody is really going to stand judgment, read your Bible. It's not for you to judge. Judge lest ye be judged. I guess unless it's you. So I think 100% this will not be the last unless we take it back to the way it was. I think that they have really stirred up in some people in the public's mind that abortion is rampant, and it is not. It is not a rampant procedure. First of all, it's a medical procedure. It's almost surgical, depending on what it is. And it's not something that is taken lightly. So that's like saying that anytime you have a backache, I'm just going to go get back surgery. No, that's not what people are doing. It is not that simple. Okay, so she ended up taking the pill and she died of sepsis because everything, like you said, was not expelled. But there are other instances where a woman would need like a DNC. And yes, this messes with that as well, because it's assumed that any of that could be abortion-like. So if you would need a DNC procedure to clear something out because you couldn't, that could happen to you too. So it goes beyond just abortion. And now denying health care, because it's not even about abortion. The thing is, you've denied health care to someone who needs it. That is anti-Hippocratic oath. Anybody who's a doctor has to take a Hippocratic oath that says they will do no harm. You, in this country, you don't refuse service to people if they are in dire straits. And they refuse because they didn't want to go to jail. I think there's going to have to be a larger movement too by doctors. You cannot just be in your white coat with your high-paying job in your office anymore. I understand you don't want to go to jail, but you all have to stand up for what's right.
That's right.
You have to stand up for what's right. I'm sorry. There is no change without struggle. And simply because you went to medical school and now you make 6 figures, some cases 7 figures, and you don't want to mess that up, it's not about you anymore. Now it's about country. You can't stay silent. So when you know something is being done wrong and you have to refuse, damn it, go to jail and let people bail you out for this. It's good, because the only way it's going to change is when people start protesting. That's what happened with the civil rights movement, right? These people, and I'm not saying go to prison. I don't want to, after all, but these people were willing to go to prison for what was right.
That's right. And that's where we are. So many people fear. Once again, we're right back to fear. Are we so afraid to stand up for what's right that we still cower back now and just shake our heads? That's not going to move us forward. That's not going to help any kind of progress whatsoever. We always say vote. We understand that. That's all we talk about on this show, is really getting you out there in the understanding of the whole process, because most people don't even understand the whole process of the political system. So we are here to help educate you and call out the things. And listen, we call out our own party too. So that's what I love about being on this show, is we're not just bashing one party. If someone does something repulsive in our party, we also call them out too, because that's the right thing to do. But if we all step back and we just shake our, just bad, nothing will ever change. We have to be willing to step up and do what needs to be done to correct the wrongs that are being done now.
We have not transcended struggle. I'm saying, I think that we're in an age of technology. We're in an age where there are laws that seem to be in place, but I'm sorry, American society is being held together by a thread, like that loose thread on the sweater that somebody's trying to pull and the whole damn thing unravels. So that's my thoughts about it. But we seem to be in a place where there are some protections and things. So we think, oh, we's free, we're fine. We're not. We're not fine. And just the only way that we got rights before was by demanding them. You can't ask people like this for rights. You have to demand them and take them.
Okay. Surprise, surprise. The comments are still flying in like crazy. So let me see if I can catch up with some of these ones. So the only way says, lovely slideshow at LaLa. Well, she provides the content. I'm doing the slideshow. Just want to say that. I am doing something, not just a shiny black head just filling your screen here. Let me say, Michelle says, heartbreaking in a million pieces. She also says, it's not about women's bodies. They want to increase the number of white people in the United States.
But here's what's interesting about that. It's not the white people that mostly will be disserviced about this, because they're going to get a history shows that those that have money have ways of getting things done without being shunned. Yes. So just because people think this is for everyone, no, sir. We better really recognize that this is something that is put into place for a reason. Those who really want and those who really can will.
Okay. The only way says LaLa, she just broke it down. Mignon Cam says, the whole thing is traumatic. I've had 2 miscarriages. I got lucky it expelled my body both times on its own. Luckily, I will never experience that again because I was able to get sterilization. She says also, you get laws out of my body. Mark Lewis, good to see you, Mark Lewis. Also, Michelle says, until more white women, they won't do much. Until it's more white women, they won't do much. It's not about the quality of human life. It's about the quantity of humans they have to work in the United States. Thank you right back, Mark Lewis. Mignon Camp says the Canadian system has you go through multiple appointments before getting sterilization, fallopian tube removal because they hope you will change your mind. The only way says medical procedure. Look, I was told something that goes against unquote, they against medical procedures to the medical procedure. He says, to that. And he says, I
need you to explain that, please, because
Yeah.
that doesn't make sense to me. So it's really important to me that when you comment to us, you give it to us in context so we can properly respond back. I'm not understanding what you're saying about that. Can you please expound?
Yeah, so do realize, and I'm saying this if you're watching us live, making comments live, make your comments as full as possible. Because just put, I'm going, what does it relate to? Because a lot of, I don't want to interrupt the ladies while they're making their comments. I say, oh, comment just came up. Coming out. No, I don't do that. I let them finish what they have today. So what they have to say. So please make your comments as full. And what does it relating to and what's being said? Makes it a lot easier, because sometimes I just won't read it because I don't understand it. It doesn't, I can't relate it to the ladies. So if I don't understand it, they may understand. They say, what's Dr. Vibe putting us through? So I'll leave it at that. Anyone else, anything else you want to say about this tragic story?
Yeah, it really is a tragedy. And I really send all of my, positive energy and prayers to the family. That doesn't do much, but it's sad. Nobody wants to be a test case when it comes to these things. And that's what they did not realize. You say you're pro-life, but you're pro-life until it comes to law enforcement having the ability to take people down at will, or when it comes to the death penalty. You're pro-life, until those things. And so they pick and choose what their life or their pro-life is about. I think it's nonsense. And once again, that is not for the government to decide. I think the overwhelming, and this is scare tactics by evangelical camps, that this is being used as a form of birth control, and statistics will show you it is really not. This is a serious medical procedure that people go through, that women go through, and it's not like it's an easy thing. Okay, so the fact that, oh, I'll just go get one, that's not the way the majority of women are thinking. I'm not saying that there are not women who do think like that. Not saying that at all, but the majority, that is not the way they think, or at least that is not what I'm postulating that they think. And it also costs money. This is not, it's not free. This is also something that costs money, and it costs not only in terms of money, but there are also, for some women, feelings and things involved there. So it's a very complex thing that is between, as has been the cornerstone of the Harris campaign, between a woman and her doctor. Not y'all. Right. It has nothing to do with you. It's not your business. And so honestly, if that's the case, then since you want to do that, then there are some other things that should be regulated as well. What do you need Viagra for? I don't care.
Dr. Tachi.
What do you need Viagra for? You don't need it. No, that is anti what the Bible says, and but wouldn't that be between you and your doctor? Why is this different? We already know what the reason is, but that's not your business. Just like it's not my business that you want to pop Viagra pills like they're candy. This is not your business.
All right. Well, okay. The only way says what I meant was, my people do not take well-tuned medication is all. Okay.
Oh, gotcha. I understand what you're saying. Yes.
No problem. Mignon Camp says, my sterilizations, I was under anesthesia and had stitches, and they dragged it out for 2 years, hoping that I would change my mind. While a man can go into a doctor's office and walk out with his vasectomy.
Oh, wow.
As if you weren't in your right mind. Oh, she'll change her mind. They don't do that with vasectomies. So the whole thing is HIPAA. What happened to HIPAA, right? What happened to all of this? This is not your business. This is nobody else's business. They are there to, yes, doctors should be there to advise you. But if there's something that is threatening your health, something that, what's with all the dragging it out? So Okay, I'm going to stop because
Okay.
it's very annoying.
Okay. Do you want a break or do you want to move to the next conversation piece?
No,
That's
either
up to
or,
you,
I'm fine.
Leader.
You're
Yep.
fine? We'll move on. Okay.
Yeah.
More Americans, especially young adults, are regularly getting news on TikTok. This is an article from Pew Research, which is a reputable organization, by the way. Dr. Tachi, you brought this up. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, so I wanted to look at this in terms of the areas that young people, and not just young people, but people in general are getting their information from. So we've seen, particularly in the case that we just talked about with Diddy, etc., that social media is rampant, or information on social media is rampant, and people are actually getting their news. So when you if you just, for example, talk to some Gen Zers, many of them are not watching regular newscasts. They're not reading newspapers online. So they're not getting information from traditional news sources. Also, let's talk about this, the fact that traditional news sources like newspapers, they have their information often behind a paywall. So some of these other things, like Pew doesn't, obviously, because you can get their studies firsthand, and you have sometimes for some newspapers a certain amount of articles that you can get for free before you have to pay. Now, whether or not, we could argue whether or not it's not that much, but the point is that there are some people who just can't do it or don't want to. I'm one of the ones who doesn't want to. I cannot pay for every single news source that I need in order to do that. And so at the same time, it's like, well, you don't expect people to work for free, right? But that's notwithstanding. So the point is that there are things that are behind a paywall that people can't get to. Most people, when you look at Gen Z, for example, some of them are cord nevers. Meaning, when we're talking about cord cutters, people who have cut cable, etc., some people are cord nevers, like they've never had access to cable. So this generation, Gen Z, has grown up. Some of them have cable, but they've grown up often without access to broadcast television, right? Meaning ABC, NBC, the local affiliates, unless it was part of a cable system. And that's not what they watch. Particularly not CBS, which is a station that skews older. So they're not watching news on traditional linear television. They are probably not following it on online, because they all have an online presence, but the way they present the news skews older. It's not something that is interesting enough to draw young people in. So Gen Z, definitely not alpha, not lower millennials, they're not drawn to the news. And those news outlets are not doing anything to really draw these people in. So enter news outlets like, you have Cheddar. If you know Cheddar News, you can do that. Newsy is another one. Those are really they were founded to be a millennial focus, but now they continue to be Gen Z focused to bring them news. A lot of the news is financial, etc., but that is one way that they are trying. So let's get away from the traditional news setup. And what do you have? You have a lot of these content creators on TikTok that are making daily broadcasts about what's happening in the news, right? They're already there. So if they're already there on TikTok, it makes sense that they're going to gravitate towards that for the news. All you have to do is put in the search, for example, Harris campaign. A whole bunch of stuff pops up with that. And so also let's talk about this, that TikTok is also getting to be one of the largest search engines. So when people search for things, what we're talking about, particularly Gen Z, and I keep pointing to them, but particularly for them, instead of, they're not using Google all the time, they're going to TikTok to look for things. So it makes sense that increasingly news is being gathered and consumed by people that are on TikTok. And I keep pointing to the younger generations, but that's also Gen X and a lot of people that are there. If you're already spending a lot of your time on TikTok, it makes sense that you also will look for other things besides entertainment. And that will be news, that will be information, that will be learning, education as well.
Okay. All right.
I have to say I do. I have my favorites. I have my favorites because I know that everything that they've reported has been up and up. And I tend to go to the social media before I do, say, CNN and stuff, because I don't trust those sources all the time. That's sad, but I do have some really good people that I do follow on social media for up-to-date news.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. There's some amazing people. Sorry, go ahead.
So Michelle says, call me a Gen Zer because I stopped looking at TV and reading newspapers. I use Twitter and TikTok now. She says, my boomer mom runs to watch the news. And then she also said, I promoted employers using TikTok to promote careers in construction.
Absolutely. It is the way social media is quick. Let's say that. And many of us, it's not just laziness. It's also that many of us don't have time. So it takes longer to fire up the television, to go to a channel to look at what you want. It takes longer sometimes to get to a website, to do a search, to get to a website. But if you're already on TikTok, and it's going to provide you a search like right away. And by the way, if you all remember, the way these algorithms work is if you are already investigating something, it's going to show you more of that. And so if you're already in the matrix of looking for news on TikTok, it's going to show you more of that type of thing. And you keep going down the TikTok rabbit hole. I know we all do, right? It's like, what? Who said this? And then you click on this because now you can also have like these basically hyperlinks in there that take you to like the original source or what. So you could be there on TikTok forever researching something and getting your news that way. So it's quick. It's quick and it makes sense because people are already there.
Anything you want to add, LaLa?
It's the reason why they want to shut down TikTok, period.
Well, that's what I was going to get to, and they want to shut it down?
Hey, everybody should know that Zuck is behind all that, y'all. He's the one who started all that stuff. That fact checked and see that's correct. He's the one who put in the motion for Congress and them to do what they're doing with TikTok. And they didn't even know about TikTok. Half of them don't even know how to say what TikTok is. But you better watch yourself because these billionaires are after each other because they all want each other's billions.
Yeah.
So, be careful about who's behind these things because I'm telling you, TikTok is pretty good. I find a lot of stuff there that I need. And don't get me started on recipes, baby. I'm feeding everybody. TikTok too.
So Minnie on Camp says you cannot share Canadian news on Facebook anymore, so I'm sharing it on Twitter. Now, the only way you're saying rabbit, do you mean Reddit, not rabbit? Just asking. But move on to our next conversation piece. Speaking about putting stuff on social media and speaking early on about entertainers and their comments when it comes to politics.
Yeah.
Janet Jackson, her remarks about Kamala Harris has caused a backlash. And people going, what? Well, Dr. Tachi, being the media powerhouse that she is, shared this with me this afternoon. And so here's a story appearing in Newsweek, sparks backlash. So she was in an interview with The Guardian today and said, so she was asked by a reporter from that publication about Kamala Harris potentially being voted the first Black female president. This is her response. Quote, I don't want to try to imitate her voice. I'd love to, but I'm not going to go there. Well, you know what they supposedly said? She's not Black. That's what I heard, that she's Indian. Her father's white. That's what I was told. I mean, I haven't watched the news in a few days, unquote. Then, quote, I was told that they discovered her father was white, unquote. And then the interviewer said, pushback, Harris has dual heritage. I say, and given the moment, does Jackson think America's ready for her? However, she distanced herself, Ms. Jackson, from the conversation, said, quote, I don't know. Honestly, I don't want to answer because I really, truthfully don't know. I think either way, it's going to be mayhem. I think there'll be mayhem. Either way it goes, but we'll have to see, unquote. So, Dr. Tachi, why'd you want to chat about this?
A few reasons, actually. So let's talk about the fact that often, especially in this election, we see a lot of celebrities that are getting involved, a lot that are supporting Harris. And this is a good thing because we have to remember that celebrities are also humans. They have the right to support and to show their support. But when it comes to actually speaking on things, this is when, so we get annoyed and upset when people say, just shut up and dribble. Because sometimes you're speaking from a point or a place of misinformation and you don't have all the facts and you don't know. So the very fact that you said, I heard from where? Cite your sources. I'm not expecting Cornell West type of intelligence from her anyway. This is what I'm saying. So the fact is that you are citizens. You are a citizen. You should be an informed citizen when you are a celebrity, but you should not talk out of turn. If I'm just looking at this, where did the interviewer ask you about the race of Kamala Harris? Except for, do you think they're ready for this? If you don't know the answer, then what you say is, well, it will be very interesting to see. I don't really have a lot of facts, because she admitted here, she said, I don't know. I haven't watched the news in a couple of days. So my thing is, you're just now finding out that Harris is running and doing this within the last couple of days. My dear, she's been on the news way longer than that. So that also shows somebody who is not civically minded. And I'm not expecting you to be civically minded. But if you're not, I'm also expecting you not to say things out of turn. And that's just an outright lie. Not that you intended to lie, but it is a lie. So if you are, and this goes beyond celebrities, if you don't have the information, stop sharing things on social media unless you know it's true. Don't talk about it and make comments on social media. Sometimes I can't look at the comments because I'm like, you daft fools. Really? Yeah. Why are you talking about this? You have no knowledge of this. And then when you're talking about it, you can tell they're doing it in a way that's very general and that they don't have the information. So I'm very disappointed that Janet even opened her mouth to say this. And I'll say this before I throw it to LaLa. If we remember very well, the whole wardrobe malfunction that she had and how the rumors spread and how badly she was denigrated in the media and by other people for that, right? Oh, it wasn't a malfunction. She meant for that to happen. Okay, to this day, we don't know. But the fact is, if she did not intend for that to happen, it doesn't feel really good for those rumors to be spread. How interesting is it now that the very subject of such rumors and hatred after that happened is now taking to the airwaves to spread conjecture and rumors about someone else? Very interesting. LaLa?
Ditto. Because this is ridiculous. I mean, come on, to act like you don't even know this or to bring up this once again, this goes back to a division state of mind that she's acting like she doesn't know, but she's still yet throwing out things that are shady. What is my motto? If you can't say things that are not going to help, you surely in the hell don't hurt. And this is exactly what she's doing. She should have kept her mouth shut. Period. Stay in your lane. Stay in your lane, Janet, because I have questions about you too. I can throw those out too. But for you to put out something like this it's actually pretty disgusting because it goes toward the division that we already have in our community. And I'm really tired of the conversation because all of that goes back to the racism and the division of what happened in the slave houses and dividing, with the one drop rule. We can get into all sorts of things. But the simple fact that she tried to play cutesy with this, because I don't think it's cute at all. I don't know. I haven't watched TV in a long time, but isn't it funny, right? Come on. Girl, please don't make me go there, because I once I put somebody in a different pot, then I'm done with you, because we all rallied around you when you needed the help.
Exactly. And I have no problem Xing you out now. None. It's not like I listen to your music that much. You are musically great. You have some wonderful songs, but I don't have to listen to you ever again. And there are other people that will feel the same way I do. And so if you're a public figure and you rely on the public support, you ought to think before you say publicly something that you don't know is 100% the case. The fact that you would come out and say, I heard, Which what? I heard.
Those are the key words. I heard.
I heard. You don't know then. You just heard. You don't know. I'm so tired of, and I'm also tired of trying to educate people with the Dr. Vibe knows that, because at some point you can't fix stupidity. And if you come out and talk out of the left side of your mouth without having all of the facts, I just have to assume that you're stupid and daft. And if that sounds rude, I really don't care. Show me otherwise. Show me you're not, by actually using good research skills, waiting and holding off before you say something before you research it to know it's 100% correct, and then saying that when it's going to help the situation. This does not help. You say, oh, well, I'm really not involved. Then don't say anything. If you're not politically motivated or politically activated, say nothing. Keep your mouth quiet.
I don't have no problem telling people, I'm sorry, I don't know enough about that to comment. And there's no shame in my game in saying that, because I'd rather know what my mouth is saying and what I understand and what I know for fact than to put out, just be agreeing with something that I don't know anything about. If you don't know, shut up.
And she is not a Fulbright scholar. I'm not expecting that from her. But at the same time, use the common sense. Well, it's not. Use the sense that is available and say nothing. Sometimes I remember very well, there was a family friend whose son would always talk. And she said, can you just say nothing? And that is my motto. Can you just say nothing? It's possible to exist without constantly talking, especially if what you're going to say is wrong. And this really angers me, because if she's this uninformed about this, what else will she say? Oh, there's really not. We used to live in Detroit. There's no lead in the water there. Everything is fine. And I'm not saying she said that, but I'm saying, what else will she say? What else will she get wrong?
The damage has been done.
It's been done. I don't trust her at this point.
Even if she backtracked and said, you know what, the people that wanted to hear exactly what she said the first time will always stick to what they heard the first time. They won't even hear a retraction or anything of that nature. Exactly. I hate to say it, but sister girl, you got bigger things going on in your family. You need to keep your mouth shut about this.
All right. So catch up with no comments. Mignon Cam says, that was my mother's argument with Harris not being black. I could not respond to her comments. Regina loves daft fools. Correct. Michelle goes, excuse me. Considering Janet is the youngest of the Jackson kids, she has seen and heard all the lies about her family. Minnie says, I wish more people would just say, I don't know.
Yes.
Michelle says Janet's comments or response is deplorable. Regina says, I can't help but recall Prince's comment. Michael Jackson, genius. Janet Jackson, genius is genius.
Ooh, now you're done without saying you're done.
Forget the reason she flew to the top is because of Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
That's it.
Yeah. Yes. And so also Michelle says silence is great to use, so don't disclose your ignorance.
Yes.
And Michelle goes, yes, Regina. And Regina says, Prince gave the deepest shade. Did he not? With that?
Listen.
And the only way says hands up, love to the entire panel. Dr. Vibe, my man. You were going to say something, Dr. Tachi.
Yeah, there's a saying, a proverb, better to be silent and be thought a fool than to open your mouth and remove all doubt.
Ooh.
T-shirt.
That's strong. That is strong. All right. Okay. So let's get to our last conversation piece. And as I said at the beginning of our conversation today, there's a reason why Aisha's not here. So tell us why Aisha's not here, LaLa.
Our beautiful Aisha will be celebrating her 50th birthday on September the 23rd. So she is taking this weekend to celebrate herself with some self-care and some love with her family. I want to make sure that you understand that Aisha does more than this show. She is very active. She's very vocal. She makes beautiful articles. And I want to encourage you to please go and read her article on Medium. She has a lot of good stuff there, but her reflections on turning 50 is a beautiful read. So for her birthday gift, guys, please make sure that you go and comment on her article. Give her some love. Give her a shout out if you're on any of her social media. Let her know that she is loved and that we are glad that she made it around 50, around the earth. That's what I say, 50 birthdays. And we miss her tonight, but I wanted her to know we were seriously thinking about her. And I hope that she has so many blessings that she just cannot hold them.
Yes, if you're watching this, happiest of birthdays, because that's actually my sister's birthday too, the 23rd. So, yeah. So happiest of birthdays. You deserve all the blessings and presents and good vibes in the world. And yeah, so we'll see you when you return. Oh, can I also say something? Sorry, Dr.
Okay. Just do something. Is it in relation to this or is it something different?
It's a little bit different.
Okay, just give me a second. I'm just gonna put up a lower third on. So on most of the platforms that you're watching this live or on repeat, the link to Aisha's article is in the comment section. Also, here it is on screen. That's a really long link. So I'm suggesting you go to your comment section and just copy and paste it from there. So now, since that is done, go ahead, Dr. Tachi.
Yeah, sorry. So I also wanted to mention that today is September 21st, the 21st of September. So happy Earth, Wind, and Fire Day.
Oh, you're kidding.
Yes. For people that are diehard EWF fans, that song September, it's on the 21st of September is for us EWF Day. So happy EWF Day.
Okay, all right. So I'm just going to see if we can get some other quick little trivia here. I'm going to ask, what television series in the last week or so celebrated its 40th anniversary?
Oh, this last week?
Yes, the 40th. It premiered on September 16th, 1984. And
God, that could be any show.
No, I'm going to give a hint. The show was based in the state that Dr. Tachi lives in.
Miami Vice?
Correct.
Really? Wait, 40th only? Wow.
40th anniversary.
40th anniversary. Okay.
Yes.
Oh, God. You're telling my age, Dr. Vibe.
You are right, because when I was teaching at Nova Southeastern, I was that day, I was like, guys, today is the 30th anniversary of Miami Vice. So yeah, and so let me give you a little Miami Vice. That's awesome. And by the way, Little House on the Prairie is celebrating 50 years this year. It was a couple, So
put up on. I just put up on the screen. There you go.
Yeah, absolutely. So a little bit of trivia and stuff about Miami Vice, and I'm sure LaLa, you know a little bit about this because you've lived in Florida. So really, for those of you who have been to Miami before, a lot of you have been to Miami Beach and not Miami. The city of Miami Beach and Miami, the city of Miami, are two different places, even though they're right next to each other. But there are a lot of places down here with Miami. So we've got Miami Lakes, Miami Gardens, a whole Miami Beach, city of Miami, a bunch of them. So what happened is with the city of Miami Beach before, that was not a place that people went. It was a lot of retirees, and all the hotels, the boutique hotels, those were apartment buildings where retirees lived. And, it was beachfront and nice, but nobody was checking for that. And there were flea markets on, not Hispaniola Way, on, I can't remember, but the really popular drag here. There were like flea markets. So it was really a retirement community. It was when they started doing the production for Miami Vice. What they did is they painted all of those hotels these bright colors and made it more like a party. See, that's what really invigorated and put life into Miami Beach, Miami Vice. So it's Miami Vice is important in that way too, because that really revolutionized and turned around the economy of the city of Miami Beach as well.
Sure did.
Okay. Well, yeah, Miami Vice 40th anniversary. Regina says happy 50 years to Aisha. Mignon Ken says Miami Vice is 40. We old. And the only way says I love Miami Vice. Good TV program. And who are the two lead stars?
Philip Michael Thomas and Don Johnson.
There you go. Don Johnson with his hair and his glasses. You know?
And by the way, there were other shows that were, in some other shows in Miami, for example, the Golden Girls, but Miami Vice was really the only one that was shot in Miami.
Yeah.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was. All right, some final comments. Regina says, my mother supports 45 too. My father is rolling in his grave. Mignon Cam says, to Regina, I sent my mom the Oprah and Harris interview, then she showed her views. Interesting. The only way says, respect to the entire panel. He says, Dr. Tachi, I like her. All right. So that is it. Great conversation, especially to LaLa. Thanks for hanging in there, because I know it's been a challenging week. But much thanks for hanging in there. So, as always, like to thank the ladies for taking the most important thing, their time to hang out with us. Dr. Tachi, how can people get a hold of you?
Well, like it says there, I am really reachable on Instagram at Dr._Tachi. Feel free to reach out to me. And please, please, please watch IndieSoup Media. We have great programming, including this show, which is we do some replays on Fridays, Monday through Thursday from 4 o'clock on, and then Friday from 5 p.m. on. Great, wonderful creators. We've got 30 shows. So check us out on YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook Live.
Yes, and there's the website address too, for those who check it in. All right, next up, the lady who fought it through, and there she is.
One LaLa.
She's like a bandit.
My loves, you can find. I made it really easy for you. All you have to do is go to this site, and you'll get all of my social media, some of my articles, and a lot of free resources. I downloaded a lot of free things for you guys this week about credit, about home inspections, about spring cleaning, about all sorts of things, saving money for down payment. So it's all at this site, bit.ly/Lori Key Info.
Website, the drvibeshow.com, YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn, The Dr. Vibe Show, Instagram at The Dr. Vibe Show, Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, at drvibeshow, and an email, dr.vibe@the drvibeshow.com. Always, just a little reminder, check Primetime Saturday, the Discord group, email me. There is the link for the store. And then finally, there is Patreon where you catch girlfriends chats. And then finally, one other last thing, I got everything. You can watch replays of this epic conversation on the Dr. Vibe Show on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. And then on my website, the drvibeshow.com. We got some final comments here. Let's get to the final comments. Let's see what we got here. The only way says, got PTO to use before end of the year. If I come down to Miami, you got me? After they move, okay, and that's between you and Dr. Tachi. Just let me know if you come down. Done. The only way, Tachi, you got that stuff offline. All right. So as always, live your life as a dream. If you can dream it, you can make it. Sometimes you have to get smaller, get stronger. Block assumptions and aim bigger, aim better, aim higher, aim wider. Love, faith, and respect. And as always, don't just manage your time, manage your energy, and remember to give yourselves grace. God bless. Peace to all. Keep the faith, and happy birthday, Aisha.